Hi everyone, I'm Mignonette, aka Blueberry Pancakes Please, formerly known as Royal Sealy. So I've been a Lolita for a few years, and whenever there is a Lolita event in North America, I do my best to go and support it because one, it's in my interest, and two, I just think these sorts of events, they don't happen that often. So it makes me very happy when I'm able to go to one, and hopefully there will be more in the future. So this event that I went to was on November 16th, 2025 in Waltham, Massachusetts. It was hosted by Teabot Events, with the name of the event being the Gilded Age. The featured guest for this event was Triple Fortune, which is very exciting. I don't have, or at least I didn't have before this event, any Triple Fortune pieces, but I was really hoping to get my hands on some of their bonnets. That's one of their bigger things that they're known for. They also have main pieces and support pieces like blouses and other sorts of accessories, jewelries, just really cool. The other thing about Triple Fortune is they are musicians as well, with their band called Brilliant Kingdom. If you like VK, I definitely recommend it. I had a really good time listening to their music and getting to know the duo a little bit better from that perspective. The Gilded Age itself was hosted, like I said, in Waltham, Massachusetts at the Charles River Museum of Industry and Innovation. I thought this location was very unique because the other venues I've gone to for other EGL North American events, they're usually within a hotel, a conference hall, that sort of thing. So to have it in more of a unique space was a major draw for me. They also had two tiers of tickets when you went to sign up. There was the general admission, which was rose tier, and that gave you access to the event itself. With that admittance, you get to shop, there's a fashion show, a Q&A, and then there's also a tea service, in addition to being able to explore the museum. The Lily tier is the VIP tier, and that was the one I went for, as I wanted to make sure that I got a bonnet. I believe OK Bloomer mentioned in one of their videos, at a Triple Fortune booth, VIP went in and someone cleared out the entire bonnet stash. So I really wanted to make sure I got the bonnet that was on my mind, which is why I went for VIP. So with VIP, you were able to get early access to shopping, a meet and greet with a photo, which was really sweet, and you got extra gifts. The price for the Lily tier, which was the VIP, was 147 USD. So pricey, but not as pricey as some of the other Lolita or EGL events that I've been to. I thought this was actually very reasonable. Even though it was for one day, they crammed a lot in there. That's an overview of the event before we go there. So now I'll talk about the days leading up and then the actual event itself. A couple of friends and I went to the Boston BB&B Deco Tea Party last year and had a great time. We showed up the night before, so our sightseeing was kind of limited. We went to the aquarium, which was really cool, and then we went to the tea itself and headed home. This time around, since it was going to be Boston adjacent, it's about a 30-minute car ride between Boston and Waltham, which is the event space. We decided to make more of a weekend out of it. Some of us did. So some friends and I, we arrived and decided to stay in Boston itself since there's more to do. We stayed at the Revolution Hotel, which is definitely a hostel experience, which was not bad at all. It allowed everyone to get their own individual bed, as it was bunk bed style. There was spacious under bed suitcase storage. The bathroom situation was handled really well. As other hostels I've been in, they've usually had maybe one or like a handful of individual restrooms that include a shower for the entire floor. This one had a good amount. It wasn't that far from the Amtrak station, which I liked, as that's how I came in. Day one of the Boston weekend began by going to Top Cup Cafe, where I got a ginger vanilla latte with oat milk, yum yum. And then I also got some kind of blueberry pastry that had a really good like corn or grain texture. It was really delicious. And then we were off to the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum. If you haven't been before and if you ever get the chance, I highly recommend it. There are several portions of the museum. There's individual galleries and there's this palace portion, which is a couple of floors, and it's just gorgeous. So I'll show some video of that now. For this part of our sightseeing, I ended up wearing my new JSK that had just come in from Meta, Maison des Roses, and I really, really feel like it fit the central atrium perfectly. I had been here once before with my sibling, and I kind of had a vision, but I wasn't sure if the JSK set was going to come in time, so thankfully it did. And it was just really cool. The featured artist was Alan Rohankreit. It was really neat being able to see some of his artwork, local Boston artists. The part of the gallery that we saw within the palace was Visions of Black Madonna, and that was really beautiful. And the other things that really stood out to me about this museum were the different textures and patterns. I just enjoyed it. It was really cool. It was kind of overwhelming because it was huge, and it's a popular place. There was a lot of people when we were there, but I had a really good time. After we were done looking around, we went down to the cafe for a quick bite to eat before our next adventure, where I got one of the dishes inspired by the featured artist, a sweet potato pie with maple whipped cream and toasted pecan. The pie itself, you'd expect with the name and the fact that there's maple whipped cream, it's going to be sweet. So I was very thankful for that salty crunch. So the next location for us was the Gibson House Museum. That was an 1860s Victorian row house that was preserved pretty well. They offer several types of tours. I believe we did the tour that was at home with the Gibsons. So this townhouse was actually 5 floors. We only went to 3, sadly. I was very curious about what the upper floors had. It starts on the base floor where there is a dining room, which was kind of unusual at the time. And our tour guide went over how this was a bit of a tussle between the former lady of the house and the, at the time, new lady of the house. So mother-in-law, daughter-in-law, 2 different visions. The mother-in-law had more of a darker palette, more of a revival Renaissance theme, where the new daughter-in-law had a lot brighter of a color palette, and it was definitely picking pieces from Asian style, but general. Things were from all over the place. So that was kind of interesting to see these 2 areas pop out in different parts of the house. So that was the base floor. Then we went up to the 2nd floor, which is where the Lord and the Lady had their own bedrooms and a shared bathroom in the middle. And we got to see more of that daughter's influence. I always like doing these kinds of house tours. I've done one before in Boston. It was the Nicole's house, and I really liked the aesthetics of that. It's also interesting to learn the history of what's going on at that time. What were people eating or doing? And it's not a full representation because these are really wealthy people. The last floor that we went to was the basement, which included the kitchen and the laundry room. The laundry room setup would have been very tough. I mean, it all probably would have been really tough. But it was really cool. I feel like I learned a lot. I definitely wish we could have gone to the other floors to learn a bit more, but I was very thankful that we were able to do this tour. In between the Gibson house and our next event, there was a bit of time. So I took this chance to do Lolita, get into some more casual clothes as it was getting much colder. I'm not that far from Boston, but it was still considerably colder. So I'm really glad that I brought my winter jacket. That kind of brought us to dinner time. One food that I really wanted to try out was clam chowder. I know that it's a really big thing in the area, and I just love soup. So I definitely lead more pescatarian, although my day-to-day is more vegetarian. So this was very exciting for me. We went to the Union Oyster House, which is significant in that it is the longest running, or I guess like currently open food establishment. And it was very, very busy. We had reservations and it still took us a while to get seated. When we did get seated, it is a historical location. It's pretty old. So the booths were very tiny, very close quarters. And it was at this point that I realized I really hadn't eaten a lot today. So definitely need to bring more things and make more of an effort next time. I got some fries and the clam chowder, and I believe it was a red sangria. So this was very heaven sent. The clam chowder was absolutely worth it. If you're on a budget, that really seems to be the only budget option on the menu, just as a heads up. And if you're not really into seafood, there might not be much for you on there because it's mostly a seafood place. But I really enjoyed the clam chowder I had there, and I would recommend it if you love clam chowder or you're curious. But so that ended our Saturday activities. The next day was the big event itself, the Gilded Age in Waltham at the Charles River Museum of Industry. So this was exciting. The pieces I picked for this, I was kind of on the fence before going. What I know mostly of Triple Fortune from people in my com is their very dramatic bonnets, their love of ruffles, and while they have lighter themed pieces, I tend to see more darker color schemes. Their style is more gothic and classic. It's not just that, they definitely have variety, and I kind of appreciate how eclectic it is. I always love brands that have a specific point of view, and I do think this is one of those cases. So the main piece I chose was Le Boudoir by Metamorphose, and that is a Swallowtail Butler Cafe collab. I bought this piece shortly after my trip to Japan last year because I went to the cafe, had a great time, and this seemed like a good piece to really memorialize my trip. But I had never really worn it out before, so this piece was kind of a little intimidating. It had partial shirring in the back, but it also had boning in the front, and I'm not really used to boning, which makes things feel a little tighter, not as flexible. So getting it on was like a little scary because I wasn't sure, but that shirring really worked out well. It's the navy colorway. It's also something where you can adjust the length and how ruffly it is by some strings on the bottom. The only thing is when you do that, you don't see the embroidery with the swallowtail logo as well, but that's okay. It's just so cute. So I was really excited I got to wear this piece out. I picked a navy canatier. I think I'm wearing it. Yeah, I'm wearing it now to go with the dress itself. And then Metamorphose blouse in black, black abillettage, OTKs, and my new Dandy Puppeteer navy wooden platform shoes. So I definitely want to do a video review of my Dandy Puppeteer shoes because I love them. I backed the backer kit for the first run, and I got 2 pairs, one in white and one in navy. That was my cord. The reason I picked the canatiers, I was hoping to get a black and navy bonnet. That was my big thing that I wanted to get. But we actually ended up getting there really early. We wanted time in case there was unexpected traffic or malfunctions with the wardrobe. Also, 2 of us were VIP, so that meant we were allowed to enter early for shopping, so we definitely wanted to be ready for that. And any sort of early time that we had, we could then take cord shots. We checked in and upstairs, and before the event itself, the staff reached out to Lily Tier and let us know what our numbers were for the meet and greet to try and keep things evenly paced, which I appreciated. As soon as we were allowed in, we all made a beeline for the table because there's a limited quantity, and especially now with tariffs, and it's not as easy to get things as it used to be. So being able to do in-person shopping is really appreciated. So I ran to the table, I saw the navy, and I immediately picked it up. That was my main thing, so I was really happy that I was able to get it. And then the other thing I ended up getting was this beautiful pink and white hairpiece. It could be a clip too, with a big white feather, because I'm kind of in between 2 color palettes right now, stuff that's more darker and a little moodier, and things that are much brighter. So yeah, it's good to have pieces that support that. Yeah. So that was cool. It was really neat. They have so many beautiful pieces that I didn't realize. Unfortunately, I'm at my main piece limit right now. And I already made my big brand purchase of the year, which was the Meta Maison des Roses. But I saw some pieces where I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye out for them. A lot of the jewelry was gorgeous too. So after I checked out, my friend and I, we went to find a staff member to inquire about the meet and greet, who was able to tell us what we had to do, which was very easy. We went over there, and I was very nervous because I'm not used to doing these kinds of things, I guess. But yeah, so I was very happy. I have very beginner level Japanese, and I was able to express my love for their fashion and for their music project, Brilliant Kingdom. They were really, really sweet. We got a Polaroid, which was a cool keepsake, and we were able to bring things for them to autograph. I didn't bring anything, but the beautiful necklace that VIP got came on this card that had Gilded Age, Waltham, and the date on it, so I thought it'd be nice for them to sign that. I didn't realize if we opened and looked through more of the things, we would have also seen postcards. So maybe that would have been something. But either way, I'm really happy with this experience. That was like the pre part, I suppose. Oh, on the topic of bonnets, I liked what they did with the merch table, which it was limited based on how many bonnets you can get. I think that was so smart, and it really avoided any opportunity for someone to wipe out all of the bonnets. So if you were Lily tier, you were allowed 2 bonnets. If you're Rose tier, you could get 1 bonnet, and then after a certain time in the event, it was a free for all. Whatever you wanted, go for it. So I really appreciate that the staff took the time to do that, because it was a big fear of mine. And I would hate to think that people who came from Rose tier level would be left with dust, because it's expensive, and like if you're really excited and you can't get the Lily tier, yeah, I just think this was great. So after that, we went to find a table. There was a good amount of us from my con. It was like 8 people. And I also got to meet someone that I follow on Instagram back when I used to be on Instagram. So that was really cool. They were super nice. And it really shows what a small world Lolita is. And going to these events, I've noticed that there's some repeat people, which is like cool because it's also like, oh, how small a world it is. When I got back to the table, I ended up changing out my navy cannotier with my new bonnet. So it was a good amount of time for us to just chat and like walk around and see the space. They had a photo section, which was it was very cute, very beautiful. Yeah, so then we kind of get into the rest of the event. One of my problems, I think, was that there was not a lot of access to water. I know I didn't bring my water bottle, which was a huge mistake. And one of the catering staff that carry water, they only came by maybe once or twice to our table, and for an event that long, it was not enough. So definitely next time I'll be bringing some water. And that's not really anything that the Teabot staff can really do because that's up to their catering. So we were sitting down and the fashion show started. I thought the fashion show went really well. I appreciated that the fashion show walk was in between all of the tables, as that allowed everyone, I think, to get a pretty close up interaction with some of these cords, these stylings, and really see these pieces in motion, because it's different from seeing something on a rack to seeing something styled. And it gave me a lot to think about. It made me very, I guess, inspired, I'll say. The Q&A, there was definitely some technical difficulties. We were sitting in the back, and I could usually hear the questions all right, but the microphones, when it came to the guests, were very muffled, especially towards the back. So I really couldn't hear that much, which is a shame because the questions were very interesting. And I would have liked to know more about what the responses were, so maybe like a little more sound checking. And then after that, we were told to go up for food. And this made me a little bit nervous as someone who's vegetarian, pescatarian. Whenever it's everyone go up for food, it's always kind of a struggle. And this happened previous years at an event where a friend and I, who are vegetarian, we only got cucumber sandwiches in limited quantity because that was the only thing that was vegetarian, and in an area where anyone could grab it, so the food options were limited. So I was very scared standing in that line. It ended up being all right. So once we got up, the staff had separated the vegetarian side from the everyone else side. So I thought the food itself was actually really, really good. I think this was money well spent for food. Sometimes tea party food, it can be kind of like, okay, like you're here more for the guests and the event itself than the food. I feel like the food really matched it. So excellent choice from the staffing side. Very delicious. I thought the tea was pretty good as well throughout the event. Again, it was a little bit more difficult to get just because there was limited servers, so that was kind of tough, but the food was good. And it was actually filling too, which is more than I can say for some of the other teas I've been to. Vegetarian or any kind of dietary restriction, you're kind of left with, I guess, the scraps usually, or ideas that are like, yeah, we can give you a veggie stick, but they're not as exciting or equal to what your non-dietary restriction people have. I did not feel like that at this event, so that made me really happy. I thought they were very successful on this front. So there was a lot of time to mingle with other people, and I did a little bit, not as much, but still a little bit, which was fun. I liked seeing everyone's interpretation. There wasn't a strict theme, but it was just nice to see what people brought out to the event itself, to be able to walk around the space and see some of the local history and how it tied into life at the time. So I really thought that was interesting. The event came to a close. There was a closing ceremony and a group photo. And yeah, so overall, I love this event. Boston's not that far from me, all things considered, with how far I've traveled for other events. So I would 100% come again. I would recommend it just because I think it's really a good time. I would love to see them continue to have events and continue to go to events. And overall, I thought this was a very successful event. I thought the price point with what we got was more than appropriate. I didn't feel ripped off or anything. I felt like we got a good amount for what we paid. I was very satisfied with this event. So yeah, 100%. While there were some areas for improvement in terms of maybe having like a water station or doing some sound checking, I have to say these were all very minimal compared to my overall enjoyment of the event and what we got. So Teabot staff, big round of applause. I think you guys did great. If you do stuff again, I would love to go, assuming it works with my schedule. I will definitely be keeping an eye on their social media. The other area for improvement that I can think of would be the website. I don't have Instagram anymore. I rarely check Facebook, and it's usually just because I'm a mod for one of the local comms, so I'm on there to accept people's requests to join the Facebook, and then that's kind of it. So I was a little confused. There were announcements that were made that I didn't know about until someone said. But for the most part, I really liked it. They also had a blue sky, so I kind of was having to check different social medias and different people to figure out what was going on. But it's not like I really missed out for much on there. So yeah, if I haven't already, now I'm gonna go over the things that I bought. So the first one was this navy and black bonnet. The bonnet attaches with a hair clip, and then there are two little alligator clips in the back for extra securing. Covered in lace and roses and a big feather. I love the asymmetry, it really pops. I definitely see myself getting a lot of use out of it, and it feels like it makes a big impact. Then this is the other item I bought, which is that small white and pink slash cream fascinator piece, hair piece slash can be, pinned to a bodice. Yeah, I really liked it. And then the VIP goodies. So we got a necklace, which I actually wore for this video. I got very lucky, I think, in that it was lavender, because lavender is one of my favorite accent colors. One of the items we received, I think it was different for each person. Mine was like a little clock piece, and the ribbon had the event title and the date of the event. Some of the postcards and material that we received for items had that as well, and I really love when events do this because it's a great memento. So very successful there as well, a lot of successes. So did you go to this event, or did you want to go to this event? If you went, I would love to know what you thought about it. I know that my friend Alana put up a video recently on it, so I'll link that in the description. And then I believe Marina put something out as well, and I always love to see Marina as press. So I'll be linking those socials as well. If you did some kind of blog post or anything, definitely share, because I love to read recaps of events, whether I've gone to them or I haven't gone to them. I just think when these things are so limited in occurrence, it's really nice when there's some kind of paper trail or documentation. Thank you for watching, and if you want to see more of my stuff, I mainly post on Tumblr and Blue Sky. On Tumblr, I am Blueberry Pancakes Please, and on Blue Sky, I am Blueberry Pancakes X. There was a limit to the number of characters you could have. Thank you, and I hope you have a wonderful winter season. Thank you, Teabot staff, and thank you for my com for being lovely travel and exploration companions. And I hope to see you all again soon, whether it is at another event or online. All right, thank you.